meeting to order. Counselor Janelle Fulbright, would you please bless the meeting?
Yes. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this wonderful day that you have given us. We thank you that we are all able to be here and tend to the tribe's business in the best manner that we know how. Let us all work together for the common good of the Cherokee people. We ask that you bless us in all that we do. We will give you the praise. Amen.
Thank you. This time we do roll call. Joe?
Joe Bird. Don Garvin. Bill England. Jack Baker.
Here.
Julianne Coates. Here. Jody Fishingham. Here. Meredith Rayleigh. Here. Janelle Fulbright. Here. Cherokee Hargis. Present. Chuck Oscar here.
Here.
Hannah Corey Jordan. Present. Lee Keener. Dick Monet.
Here.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
David Thornton.
Here.
David Walkenstick. Sarah Callan Watts. We do have a form.
At this time we will address the approval of the minutes.
Make a motion to be approved.
Motion by Mr. Baker, second by Mr. Thornton. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. Reports, Ms. Diane Kelly, top 3 job corps, career services.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Education Committee. I gave out some flyers at the last committee meeting. I told you about some specialized training that Shane and Andy and the counselors are putting together for some of the trades that we've been asked to beef up, like masonry, electrical, heating, plumbing, carpentry. And you'll recall I told you that we'd already worked out something with Union Capital and Northeast area. And this is these are the classes that I told you that we have flyers for. And we'll be moving up into the other counties probably after the first of the year. We've got a lot of people out there that are wanting in these training programs. They're all full. I mean, we've got people lined up trying to get in them. And we've had a business technology class that we've had in the evenings, and it's been full as well. And we're hoping to do more of this specialized training because they're fast tracking it. Down at the, we don't have a flyer, but we're doing an HVAC class, which is heating and air. It will be at the Salisal Botech, October 23rd to November 15th. It will be on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 3:30 in the afternoon to 7:30 at night. And all these classes that we're doing with the Botech are fast-track classes. The instructors are working extra hours with us to help us get these the test. And all of these people are going through OSHA 10 training in addition to that. So they're going to combine that so that when they complete this training program, not only have they gone through safety, but they've also got the basic knowledge of these trades programs, and then they've also got the OSHA 10. And we're hoping that some of these guys will take like the electrical, carpentry, and the plumbing so that they're diverse in all fields so that they're more employable whenever they finish. We've been meeting with David Moore and the construction that's going on. I've been involved with Gary Cooper at the construction for housing, and then also with some of the construction that we're getting ready to go into for this next year with some of our health areas and some of our other, like our CDC, so that some of these people are in the pipeline for getting some of these jobs. So hopefully we'll be able to report back and let you know how many of these people were actually secured jobs as a result of it. Are there any questions about this?
Yes, Counselor John.
Tell us about welding training and so forth.
There was a business that we were actually looking at that was going to employ several welders, and we've got the welding on hold right now because we don't actually have anything in the pipeline for those welders to go to. Right now, the machinist is an area that we're going to have to beef up, and we've got a machinist class going on over at Muskogee against the Union Capital Technology Center, and that is one of the areas that we're concentrating on. We're hoping that if this other business comes about, then we will be looking at some of the welders. But right now, we've identified, but we just don't have them ready to go because this business didn't pan out.
So if anyone wants to go in welding, just has to wait.
No, it's not necessarily about waiting. We have a waiting list right now because all of our vocational training money's pretty much been obligated. We have 269 people right now that's in our vocational training programs for this fall semester, and it's like higher education. They make application in the spring or in the summer for the fall semester. So fall semester is pretty much started, and we spend on an average cost, we don't spend this much on every one, but an average cost of around $2,869 per individual. That's what Daryl estimated for this meeting. And we've got several in the pipeline that are waiting for the next school run.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Counselor Keenan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, my question was on the machinist portion. Did you answer that? But I did have.
Muskogee Union Capital is the only place that's got the machine shop. It's very expensive, and that is the only VOTEC that has it right now. Clearmore or Pryor, one of those, may have it. Their class is already filled up with students, and we'll have to do a specialized program. But right now, we're going to see how many we can get in this class over at Muskogee. And it's it's going to take a little bit longer. We can't fast track it.
I wanted to compliment you on your job placements too. That's a really good start. You did that really good. That's really impressive.
Thank you. I've got a lot of staff that's been working very hard on it.
And I did have one question on the Terrell Job Bank. Would you explain that just a little bit? Who's entering that individual?
Dennis Carter does our job bank information, and that is tripled in from all of our field offices. There's cards, and from there they are sent in through email, and then he puts it into the system. Dennis Carter is the one that does our Jobs Well Done and our job bank. And we're in the process of changing that Jobs Well Done to a different title so that it would more or less capture what we're doing as far as the business development, because we're doing a lot of that. We've got 15 businesses that we're actually working with right now. Shane Kirby, Andy Grefflewater, Deborah Robinson, who's on our day work program, and then we've got some other staff, Dennis Carter for one, Melanie Dodge, who does the job fairs. They're all working together to identify potential candidates for some of these businesses that are wanting to locate in the area. And we met with Sam Hart and Jerry Holderby and Mike Watkins about 3 weeks ago to explain to them exactly what we're doing and what were some of the businesses that are looking at relocating into the 14 counties. One of the areas that we're really targeting right now is Sequoyah County. Sequoyah County's got the highest unemployment, has been for quite some time, and we're looking at doing a series of meetings down there with some of the different partners to see what we can all do to work together to try to enhance businesses to want to locate down there. One of the things the staff has done is we've put together some notebooks that shows you where all the vacant buildings are in the 14 counties. If you were looking for 120,000 square feet, we can tell you where those buildings are located, so we can tell you where there's 50,000 square feet. So I've got staff that are working on that. I had another staff person who worked for me before that just recently come back, and I was tickled to death to get her back. And she worked for me back down there at Salvador, so she's going to be assigned that project to work on down there.
Thank you, Donnie. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Welcome. Any more questions? Tanya?
Can you project to us about what you're going to need for your VOTEC money?
Yeah, I
I know
can.
you're already out.
I
We
can-
need to start looking to see what we can find on that.
Like I said at the last meeting, Treasurer Warren is working with us to identify that, and it looks as though that we're going to try to tap some of these trade positions that some of these people are coming in for through our economic development that we're doing with C&B on some of these businesses through on-the-job training. And Andy has really went out there and developed a lot of contracts with businesses. Most of them are in the northern area, and we may end up having to do some transportation to get some of those people up there because we don't have as many people coming through for manufacturing positions up there in that area. It's a higher, no offense to people that live up in the northern area, but a lot of those people up in that area don't want manufacturing jobs. They want high-tech type jobs. And we've got the people down in this area that will take the manufacturing jobs, so we need to see if some of those people would diversify, move down into these other counties where we can get the manufacturing going.
Well, you will let us know then how that class down as to whether we need to do something with our budget.
Yes, ma'am. Job 4, I told you, I may have told you, I don't know, they finished their review, and we're real excited. J. Little John and his staff over at Stanley, several of the staff, Ramona Holden, have been over there for 20-plus years. And we got a review back this time. The most you could get was 8.0, and we were shown on the screen when the project officer left that we were looking at a 7.5. And they complimented our finance area, and they complimented our education, vocational area, and the placement, and the fact that our center has been full for quite some time, and we've got a waiting list of people trying to get in. And that is something very uncommon, but we attribute it to the economy. And there's a lot of people that are trying to get in over there because they can fast track getting their high school diploma or GED and get a trade while they're there. So we know that's one of the reasons why we're getting so many people wanting in over there.
Diane,
Yes.
on, you were talking about the unemployment in Sequoia County. We requested or directed the C&B staff to do a feasibility study some months ago here on the 1,100 acres there, the property that was deeded to the tribe, and it is trust property. But with that, they expounded on it just a little bit. They included Blue Ribbon Downs, and I think they included Roland area there. Would you get with Sean if we're going to be creating jobs there and see what the status of it is? You may want to coordinate some of those jobs with him and then keep us informed.
Okay, be glad to. One of the things for the benefit of our council members up north, we have been working with a business up in Rogers County, and they're looking at expanding their business. We won't know exactly for sure, but they're also looking at new market tax credits. And as soon as we're told that we can actually go out here and tell you about the business and they give us the green light, we will. But we have been in dialogue with them, and they're going to employ about 60 people or more, and they're going to allow us to come in and help recruit, and they're supposed to send us the job descriptions. We met with them last week, but they still haven't given us the green light. Every time we meet with a business out in these outlining areas, they usually give a project name. They don't want you to tell you what the name of that business is, because then a lot of the stuff they're looking at as far as land, property, buildings will escalate up. So as soon as I get that green light, well, then we will share that with you. We've also are working with a group out of Kansas on a project up in Delaware County, up in the Grove area as well. And Shane's working on that. And then, of course, Andy has been working up in the Rogers County, Tulsa area. We've got probably 2 or 3 contracts. There's one is with Coca-Cola, and they're getting ready to do some call centers, and they may do some diversifying if they need to. We told them about some of these other counties, but we don't know exactly whether they'll do that. But there is some call centers out there that we're also supporting as well. So with that, do y'all have any other questions?
Good report.
Thank you.
Next, we'll have the Executive Director's report. Dr. Neil Morton, is he present?
Well, Dr. Morton, but I'll give you a report here. Dr. Morton and Berna both had other meetings this afternoon, so submitted our written reports, and if you have any questions.
Councilor Watts?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if you'll be able to answer this, but I've asked specifically during budget hearings about the National ACES conference that our kids continue to be able to attend, even if it's a limited number because of the cost of Alaska. But then we find out late without any notification actively to the schools that they're not going to be able to attend. I know that Bill's doing the best he can to try to accommodate a few that already have intentions, but it's really disappointing. And I don't know how to interpret it because we're not getting a lot of communication about changes or strategy or expectations, and it was answered affirmatively in the budget hearings. So are we going to be discontinuing this stuff, or is this just an anomaly, or I don't understand why our kids aren't being served when we budgeted those dollars?
We have a small group that's going. I know one school for sure that's taking a chaperone and a student who's presenting at the school. And we have contacted some of the other schools that have gone in the past that participate in most of our STEM, with the science fair and the robotics, and see if they're going. And one of them has responded that they're not going to go this year. and that we're waiting to hear back from them for others.
Okay, will we be continuing with this science and engineering fair? Because
Yes.
there's a lot of people that are anticipating that, and you have that date, right?
I want to say January 19th is a Saturday.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Lake?
Thank you, Chairman. You may not be able to answer this either. I've got some calls from the student and his father, and they go to Haskell. And the scholarship, I think, ransom is $500 for these kids. I think we have 21 kids going to Haskell. And I know it's cheaper, and maybe that's why we backed that down to $500. But I'm just, do you know if it's policy, or did the council pass a resolution at one time, or?
I think Dr. Morton's wanting to address that when he gets back next month and kind of go over some history there.
Probably got some history. And I guess one thing that kind of concerns me, just because a kid found a way to go to school cheap, we're starving him to death slowly in Haskell. So I may try to address that with some sort of a piece of legislation, and it's just, I don't know what yet, because I don't know that full answer and the history behind it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm glad you asked that question, because I've been asked the same question as well. I didn't know if we had policy in place, but I haven't had a chance to review that. Councilor Coach?
Thank you. I understand there have been some changes to the criteria for scholarships for Pell versus non-Pell students.
Not that I'm aware of. Where we had the sliding scale with funding from 500 to 2,000 in prior semesters, and when we adopted the 2,000 scale, we've not changed any selection criteria.
I may follow up with you because that's not what some folks I know have been told.
If you have a case, if you want to email Dr. Morton and myself, then we'll kind of go through and see what we can do.
All right, thank you.
Councilor King?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What is the budget for the ACES program?
Off the top of my head, it's around 40,000.
40,000. And how many students are going?
Confirmed is
One. So what's going to happen with the other money?
I'm not sure at this point.
Why weren't other schools notified to utilize those funds?
All right, now I can have Dr. Morton come back with it.
Yes, please. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Walkenstick?
I was just looking at this report from Northeastern, the freshmen, becoming freshmen, 74% of Cherokee.
I think Jennifer's going to address that in the presentation for me.
Sorry. That's a good report. Thank you.
We have Councilor England.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the, back to Councilor Lake and Councilor Bird, I received that same phone call also, and was they given the money, and then we could send a letter to send the money back, all the maybe $500 of it or something?
Not familiar with the case specifically, so I'd have to defer you to Dr. Morton on that.
Because he was given the whole scholarship, from what I understand, is that the way you guys understood it. Did you get the phone call, Councilman Bird?
Well, what I heard was 1 year they were given the scholarship. Then his financial situation changed, and he was no longer Pell eligible, so that changed. But I didn't know what our policy was here. I didn't know what the former committee or what you guys had passed to that effect to Haskell University. And I'll have to go back and refresh my memory because I don't have it in front of
Dr.
me.
Morton's prepared to present to you next month, available today.
And I would appreciate if he would get back with us so we can answer this guy, and, because he feels like he's been cheated.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Council Hostin, yeah.
And just briefly, and I'm sure Dr. Morton will address it, but kind of the history of that policy, because there's actually a law in the books that says if higher ed changes a policy, there's a certain amount of time that the council has to have notice in writing, or the change is actually null and void, as I recall that. So we want to make sure that we're consistent with that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Keener?
Thank you. Yes, without going through the history again, I know one student who did receive the full amount as if he's going to a state school. The first year he went to Haskell, and the second year it was drastically reduced. So there is a policy though, but I don't know how rigidly it's being followed.
Okay. We'll look into that, and Dr. Martin will give you a report next month.
Any more questions? Yes, Councilman.
Maybe I can do this after committee. You say there's a guideline that
There's a law in the
if the
books.
policy has changed,
Yeah.
they have to bring it back.
We'll pull that, and there's a certain amount of time they have to give us notice.
Okay. Good report, thank you.
Thank you.
And that was also Head Start, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Old business, and I'm pending. New business, Councilor Fraley.
First item is an amendment to the Cherokee Nation Arts and Crafts Act. I've had artists, Cherokee artists that have concerns with the Cherokee Nation Arts and Crafts Act as their copyrights have been violated. And according to the Attorney General's opinion, there's no right of action included in our Arts and Crafts Act. And this amendment doesn't necessarily include a right of action, but it does include a requirement that the Cherokee Nation and its entities establish policies prohibiting violation of the Act. For instance, if they violate their copyright, this would prevent them from doing that by establishing a policy. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I would move for approval.
I will second.
Motion and second. Discussion? Councilor Lay?
I just saw this, Meredith. I wonder if you could kind of go through some, this is legal terminology to make it possible for the artists to maintain their copyright rights.
Yes, the contracts or the purchase orders that our entities now have do not require the artists to give up their copyrights. And that has happened in the past. And there have been some artwork that had been reproduced without the artist's permission. And so this, hopefully, by establishing a policy within those entities, for instance, CNB, it would prohibit that from happening again.
Thank you. Is that good? Okay, any more discussion? Councilor Watson?
I would really be thankful if we added as a sponsor on this, because I think this is good legislation. Thank you.
Anybody else? Garvin, Keenan? Not wanting to say? You will? Okay, call for a question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Dropping down to item number 2 of new business, presentation by the Indigenous Scholar Development Center. I was at Northeastern University the other day. We were just going over some of the programs, and this is one program that I thought was worth coming and presenting to the committee. Just for your information, I think it's a very good program, but we need to be just a little bit more aware of it. So at this time, you have the floor.
Miigwech to each of you for your time and also the privilege to be here and to have your attention for just a few minutes while I introduce myself and, more importantly, the new Indigenous Scholar Development Center. This is at Northeastern State University, and I passed around materials. We have a draft brochure and then a report that was noted earlier and also an informational card. My name is Jennifer McCann, and I am Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, and adopted Dene. I'm white, too, if you can't tell. I'm humbled to be a part of this program and part of life on NSU campus, and then also within the Cherokee Nation as well. The Indigenous Scholar Development Center is a federally funded program for Native American serving non-tribal institutions. And although the ISDC was established in the fall of 2011 under the leadership of the principal investigator, who's here, Dr. Ron Cambiano. Yes, I have been on the job as the director for about 20 weeks now. So an important milestone in the development of this new program is that we've become fully staffed. So we also have our staff members here as well. And I'd like to introduce them or point them out. They're sitting here behind me. We have 2 scholar development coordinators. If you'll just wave your hand, we have Miss Rebecca Clovis.
Have them stand.
Yes, if you please stand. Yes, she's Muskogee Creek. And then we also have as our second, thank you, Scholar Development Coordinator, a citizen of the Cherokee Nation, Michelle Ross-Mulkey. And then our administrative assistant is Miss Krista Boston. She is an enrolled citizen of Choctaw Nation. And then we also have another citizen of Cherokee Nation. She's a Gates Millennium Scholar. She's our graduate assistant and counselor in training. This is Dakota Thompson. And then we also have Cody Cox. He's also an enrolled citizen of Cherokee Nation. He's our peer academic consultant, which also means the tutor. So he's a tutor for us as well. So this is our staff. We're also looking forward to being able to hire some student workers. Hopefully that's pending approval by the U.S. Department of Education. And I wanted to let you know about our primary objective. Is the bottom line is that we want to make sure that students who are at NSU graduate and achieve their educational goals. So you might be wondering, well, what is an Indigenous scholar anyways? So as a staff together, we asked ourselves this question in looking at the grant proposal and looking at the material. And what we came up with, was characteristics of an Indigenous scholar. And those are listed in the brochure on the inside. Resourceful, engaged, accountable, curious, and humble. So you'll notice that although many of our students might be at risk as defined by guidelines at NSU, these characteristics encompass everyone, myself included. Students who are performing well, in addition to students who are at risk. Students who are ready to engage in peer mentoring, career development, and creating and making steady progress toward future educational and leadership goals. Part of what we're doing right now in the program startup is strategically planning culturally based, holistic, Indigenous approaches. So you might be wondering what that means to us. And we have a visual representation of this in our mission mark, which also appears on the literature as well. And for those of you who aren't here in the room, it's also on our website. So that's a visual representation of our mission. And then also what we did was we adopted NSU's core values and then internalized them and interpreted them from an Indigenous-based perspective. So we're in the process of designing programs and activities that include both individual and group study sessions, academic, personal, and professional development workshops and seminars, counseling, mentoring, leadership opportunities, hosting visiting scholars, and also elders as well. So that's an important part, that if any of you have recommendations for visiting elders who would be paid an honorarium or a stipend for being involved with the program, that's something that we're open to suggestions for. We're also designing and facilitating research workshops and projects. So if there are research programs and activities that would benefit Cherokee Nation, then we would be glad to have that input and be able to develop those over the lifetime of our grant, which is for another 4 years. You might wonder, well, where are we? We actually are located on the second floor of the John Vaughn Library. And so that's our new location. We're moving tomorrow. Temporarily, we've been in the first floor of Bagley Hall. And so we're going to be right next to the special collections portion of the library. And so that'll facilitate research opportunities and enhance the academic experience of students in a supportive environment. So you might wonder how many students we've actually come in contact with. We've been busy in extensive outreach activities, which include going to the freshman seminars and doing presentations. Also, referrals are made to our office by faculty members through a program called MapWorks, and then individual people refer students to us as well. So, in closing, I'd like to welcome your input. If you have ideas for, again, identifying elders who may be interested in participating in our program, and again, for an honorarium. Also, in identifying collaborative research projects that would benefit Cherokee Nation. And then an invitation will be coming with more specific details as this facet of our program becomes operational. Also, I'd like to humbly request that you keep in mind the future for this program, this grant program, is the Future Indigenous Leadership Center. And so the seeds for that were planted with the Sequoia Commission and then also with former Chief Mankiller. So, if there are any questions, comments?
Hey, Jennifer, that was a great report. Good job. It was good. Okay, now on how are you guys going to measure these students as far as retention rates, academics? Is that stuff you guys are going to measure?
Yes, absolutely. We're required to demonstrate a 2% increase in not only retention and graduation rates per year, but also in recruitment rates as well. So right now we're establishing benchmarks in conjunction with the Center for Tribal Studies, American Indian Profile. I didn't bring this. This is available online now.
Okay.
And so I didn't bring this because this is a publication of the Center for Tribal Studies, and I didn't have enough hard copies to hand out. But these help establish benchmarks for us along with information that's produced by the registrar's office.
I just want to also recognize that Dakota, when I worked at Bell School, your husband Jared taught karate to our kids. Yeah. He's a really good guy.
Thank you. All there now.
Okay.
Thank you for everything else.
You guys do good work. Good job.
Well, Dr. McKen, thank you for that thorough report, and this is just for information for the committee here to look at and letting us know that the doors are open there at Northeastern.
Absolutely.
Maybe do some future coordination with you and your program, and I'd like to thank your staff for being here today.
Well done.
Yes. And Dr. Ron Cambiano, thanks for your presence as well. We appreciate you. That concludes our
motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman.
The next meeting date is November the 13th. With that, I'm going to have Councilor Chuck Hoskins as a comment.
One announcement. We have a packed meeting right after you adjourn. Right now.
Okay.
Right now.
All right. Motion to adjourn. Second.
Aye.